I'm your Gemini friend. This video is about Lilith in Capricorn or Lilith in the 10th house. I do have a video in the description that goes over Lilith a little bit more, but this is going to cover if you have Lilith in the 10th house. This is going to be the area of life, your career, your legacy, your professional ambitions, the public arena, and what you're striving towards. If Lilith is in Capricorn, then it's going to be expressed more in the Capricorn energy that I'm going to be covering in this video. But this should be applicable somehow either way. But always consider this is just one little part of your chart. It's going to depend on how strong of an effect Lilith has on your chart overall, how much this actually shows up in your personality. It can be hidden, it can be felt very deeply, but not expressed externally, because Lilith is all about shame, rejection, areas of life, and things about us that we've made to feel aren't acceptable. Through Lilith, we distort the energy that it's represented through. And distorted Capricorn energy can be pretty harsh. This can be a difficult one due to the perfectionistic nature and the heaviness, the strong responsibility felt with Saturn influencing this. Saturn ruling Capricorn in the 10th house. So the area that we have Lilith in, we're seeking to avoid being rejected. We're avoiding the shadow, the parts of us that we've stuffed down, that we've considered to be unacceptable, that we don't want to show, the parts that we don't want to look at, we don't want to accept within us. Lilith wants to shine a light on all of these things. She wants to help us integrate these parts of us so that we can actually be balanced. She represents the balance of feminine and masculine energy. And in this sign especially, this can show up through work, rest, balance. Because Capricorn energy, I associate quite heavily with the typical masculine societal wound that we have of overworking, overcompensating, for feeling like we're not doing enough, and that need for constant productivity, the need to constantly be grinding and to feel shame when resting, when not actively working towards something, which is completely ignoring that rest is essential and it's actively working towards getting you recharged to be able to be your best in what you're doing. But with this one, I can see it going very much one of two ways. This can be the very ambitious nature of Capricorn causing you to feel like your achievements are never enough. You're always striving for more. You never feel satisfied. You never stop to celebrate your wins. You might be seen as intensely ambitious, very career driven, or it can be the complete opposite where you likely still feel this heaviness, this sense of wanting to create a legacy, wanting to be doing something professional with yourself, but feeling completely blocked from that. This can come with being raised in the way where you were taken care of too much. You weren't given the tools or discipline to develop your own sense of discipline. And in this way, career, work, the professional realm can be an area of great difficulty because it might feel like you don't belong there. It might feel like you're just not equipped for it, and it might be incredibly intimidating. But either way, what you're afraid of is your own success. You're afraid of recognizing your potential and being what you're truly meant to be. Because the 10th house, it's associated with the midheaven, with our public image, with the way that you're showing up in the world and the legacy that you're leaving behind. It's what you're making of yourself in this lifetime. So to have Lilith associated with this area, whether it's the personality of Capricorn or it is specifically your 10th house, your career, or your more public aspirations, it can be so overwhelming to feel like you have all of this potential, you see all of these things that you could work towards, but you're not giving yourself grace. You're not allowing yourself to be human and to relax, celebrate what you've achieved. It's toxic productivity. And another way that this can manifest is by being very rebellious against traditions like normal, traditional work, traditional aspirations. You could rebel entirely against the idea of a typical profession or having certain goals, against the expectations of society, really. What is expected of you? And this can be a wonderful thing, because with Lilith and Capricorn, it doesn't really indicate whether you're meant to be a total nonconformist in this area or just a really high achiever. What it means is that this is a significant area related to your shadow, related to the parts of you that want to be seen, that want to be acknowledged and recognized just for what they are, but that feel judged, or that we feel that we need to judge. It could be projected values of your parents or of people around you, society, really taking those on as like, okay, I have to be successful. I have to work hard all the time. I have to work really hard in order to achieve anything of worth, in order to be a worthy part of society. There can be a lot of just wounding here with like feeling like a part of the professional world or feeling like you're doing something with your life. But this can be really related to early life circumstances that cause you to associate having fun, slacking off, relaxing with consequences. Maybe something happened when you were a child where you weren't taking something as seriously as like some authority figure thought you should be. You were shamed for it, and you internalized that. You took on this sense of responsibility and weight, feeling like you're not enough on your own without your achievements, without goals, without something that you're always working towards. This can really point to issues with authority figures. You might be a complete rebel against any sort of authority. You might hate having a boss. You just cannot be managed. Or you could have a real fear of authority figures or of laws, of punishment, an excessive reverence towards people who are in charge. Either way, you want to look at it more objectively and see, is my reaction warranted given who this person is, what the circumstances are? Living in fear is never a good thing, but Saturn can definitely cause fear, caution, when it's related to such a wounded point. It's a sense of always needing to be prepared, never being prepared enough, looking too far ahead, not seeing yourself where you're at in the moment. And of course, balancing the Capricorn with its opposite, Cancer, the compassionate energy, the unconditional love that ideally a mother feels for a child, and accepting yourself in that state, mothering your inner child, giving your inner child what they need, what they needed back then when they were wounded. Because there really could have been a strong lack of support early on, to where you feel like you need to be the one to support yourself. No one's ever going to be there for you, so you always have to have everything completely under control. Of course, this can be a fear of sudden change and control issues, trying to make sure that everything around you is completely under your control so that nothing you're not expecting happens, so that nothing can ever goes wrong. It's an excessive cautiousness that leads to not fully living life. And in this way, there can also be a really strong fear of vulnerability, of showing your realness, your authenticity, in the way that you might be afraid that if people see the real you, then they will recognize that you're human too. They might not see you as 100% perfect and reliable and responsible. There's no need to put yourself on this pedestal. I do not mean that in a rude way, but what I mean is consider the way that you look at yourself versus the way that you look at other people. Do you expect as much out of others as you expect out of yourself? And are the people around you expecting a ton out of you? Because getting support from the people around you, of course, it takes vulnerability first. It takes letting them know, I'm not okay, I need help. If you ever do need help, and especially if it feels especially difficult to ask for it, that's something to look at. That's something to go deep within and address, because it's very likely tied to some sort of early childhood circumstances that made you feel like expressing emotion is bad. It's not acceptable in this moment. Keep it practical. Children should be seen, not heard, that kind of idea. There is a real need for nurturing your own emotions here. And the more you express and share your real, true feelings, reactions, impressions of things with other people, the more they will see you as human, the more you're able to see yourself as human. And by human, I just mean somebody who is experiencing the full breadth of emotions. You know, like, we're here experiencing so many things, so many people, situations. Life is messy. Life is supposed to be messy. Of course, we have signs like Capricorn that help put the structure, help us have structure, but we've also got to consider everything else. There's no need to have extremely high standards for yourself, for everybody around you, for your circumstances, whatever it is that you are putting weight on. Just ask yourself why. What are the stakes? What are you afraid of losing control of? And why? And is it really all on you? There can even be a tendency to make everything all fall on you. You might take on not just your own problems and your own goals, work. You might take on the responsibilities of all the people around you, the people that you care about. You might feel like you are integral to whatever situation you're involved in. And you likely are. This is very strongly dedicated, disciplined energy. But nobody should expect you to always be at 100%. If you've set up this expectation for yourself, taking it down slowly, revealing your softness at a pace that's comfortable to you, that can be very helpful in these situations, especially if you are the authority figure here. Because it just gets more and more difficult to try, the more that you try to hide these things and stuff them down and ignore them, because feelings have just as much value as everything else. I mean, think of all of your peak experiences in life, even if they are associated with achievement, with meeting your goals, with creating some wonderful structure that you put so much hard work into. Is it the idea that makes it such a good experience, or is it the feeling that you're feeling proud of yourself, the feeling of other people congratulating you? I mean, any sort of thing that you can think of that is a good experience, it's the feelings that are important. The structure is there so that everything doesn't go crazy, but we should be allowed to go crazy sometimes. Our feelings are kind of the point of life, to have these experiences, process them, and then make emotional connections with other people. If you include emotion in your work, whatever you're working towards, I think you'll find that that is even more empowering. Allowing this vulnerability, because it's difficult to need to hide it. It's hard when you feel like you're always holding something back. But if you free yourself by just allowing these emotional expressions, allowing these parts of you to be seen, and allowing yourself rest, allowing yourself the rest that you need and the rest that you want. It shouldn't all be on an absolute need basis. You should be able to experience just pleasure, fun, emotional situations that are fulfilling, because you can't have the career, the 10th house, without the balance of the home, the family, the roots, the 4th house, somewhere stable that you're coming from and that you can go home to. You should, at the very least, have this sense of home within yourself, a sense of emotional security that comes from knowing that you're not going to be ignoring your emotions. You are going to allow them. You're going to address them. You're going to honor them. And it's so interesting to me the way that feelings tie into career in this way, because this is just such a natural way that it seems like our society moves. When you're feeling emotionally unsatisfied, you work harder so that you have some sort of achievement to show that you're doing something. It's pretty sick, because we have value just in who we are. You don't have to do anything to deserve a life that is enjoyable, a life that you are happy in. You don't have to always be in hard working mode. And when Lilith is in Capricorn, she really wants you to look at your feminine, whatever that is for you, whatever self-care is for you. Think of your moon, whatever your moon sign is, the house that your moon is in. Consider the most positive expression of that sign and the house as an area of life that represents comfort for you. And really indulge in that comfort. Build a comfortable foundation for yourself where you're allowed to, if it's what you want, if it's what your body and soul want, you can just sit there all day, relaxing, whatever you want to do, spending your time doing whatever is putting your mind at ease, allowing your body to rest. Because what you'll find, it's amazing, but Capricorn energy, when it is in this wounded expression, it's feeling so out of control that it will focus on anything it can control in order to ignore that sense of chaos within. But sometimes the chaos is just caused by exhaustion. And if you're exhausted, you need to rest. Because I promise you, once you have rested and recuperated and your energy is back, you're going to be at 100%. There's no need to avoid rest. Rest replenishes us. Rest gets us back at our highest capacity, and then we're able to do what we wanted to do in the first place. It's all about allowing both versions of yourself to exist. The hardworking part and the part where you're focused on achievements, and the part where you're focused on yourself. You need to be your own stable foundation. You need to be able to trust yourself that you will get that rest. When you go through the cycle properly, work hard, rest hard. Work hard. It's the natural process. It's being in your masculine, being in your feminine, being in pursuit, being in attraction. Both sides are necessary, and Lilith is telling you the way out of this traditional masculine wound, the overproductive, overworking, never enough. The way out is to go just as hard into the feminine. Let other people take care of you sometimes. And incredibly powerful, don't blame your parents any more than they initially deserve. Just hanging on to that is not helpful. It doesn't help anybody. You can recognize it perfectly fine. They might be the reason why, but you hanging on to that and you blaming them, it's stuck energy. It takes your power away. It's giving them the power when you can take it back and just be like, okay, yes, this happened, but what are we going to do about it? And most importantly, believe in yourself. You have such massive capabilities of creating something wonderful to show the world. You don't need to be perfect. You can have your flaws. It's freeing to have flaws and to allow people to see your flaws. And take the rest that you deserve with no guilt. If you are overworked, consider rest to be a necessary step in your process. I promise. I promise. Learning to trust yourself, trust that you will not be stuck on this hamster wheel cycle of always work. Getting it into your body, into your subconscious, that yes, you are allowed to rest sometimes when the need arises, and you're going to allow yourself that. It disrupts the cycle of needing to take control over everything, and it allows things to flow so much more freely. It's wonderful. I know it can be very hard to get out of traditional cycles, work, all of that, but if you have Lilith here, you're somebody who is meant to be disrupting that, meant to make society question, why are we doing this to ourselves? And I believe in you completely. So let me know what you think, if you have this placement, if you relate to this. This is just, it's a topic that's very relevant for a lot of people, not just Lilith and Capricorn, but when it is here specifically, it's really that balance that needs to be focused on. So thank you so much for watching. I love you. Bye.